stuck here. The cops won't bother me. You know, it's so funny, when I got this bike, there, you know, not a lot of people would get a bike from 1985 that needed this much work. A lot of it is like a labor of love, really, because you'll never be able to recoup the costs of fixing up an 85 Honda Shadow, because it's really not worth much. It's a great bike and it feels like a very substantial bike, but a lot of people these days, you know, they like to think that an old bike or an old car is not worth much. And you see that a lot with Americans, because they buy something like a Honda Accord from the 90s, and then something happens and they just leave it, and it starts to get more problems from standing still. But to me, there's something really cool about taking a machine that otherwise would be thrown in the trash or be chopped up for parts and give it a new life. Or to take a dog that was neglected, that was slightly abused, didn't have a home, and gave it a home. And not only that, not only gave it a home, but a great home. And I hate to brag, but I do give this bike a great home. It's garaged, it's maintained, you know, it's eating well. I give it lots of walks. And you know, motorcycles are very similar to dogs. They just need an owner that really likes them. And the thing is, you can't have too many motorcycles. I know that a lot of people are into collecting bikes. I could have had many bikes, and I've gotten great deals on bikes like the FJR, the NC700. But in a way, I find it a little bit more rewarding to ride this one, because it really is a bike that would be thrown away. You know, oftentimes you would go into like poor neighborhoods, and I think a lot of these bikes, a lot of poor people bought them, and you would see them like in their front yard or backyard, just with grass growing on the side of them. And to me, it really feels like I am giving it a good home, and it feels good. It really feels good to have a bike like this that's so, you know, a lot of people don't really desire it. And I think I like that about a lot of bikes. Even the V-Strom 650, even though it was from 2006, it still felt like it's a neglected bike, because there's so many other bikes that all the posers like. I think that's the problem with the GS that I don't like, is that the people that get them, they're the people that have so much money. And the problem with having so much money is that you have an abundance of choices. So when you have like one kid, you give them all your attention. You can say the same thing for like 2 kids, 3 kids. But when you start to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids, how much attention could you possibly devote to all of those kids? And I think that's what I see with these BMW guys. They have so much money, so much to spend, that they don't really pay much attention to the bike. They don't look at the bike the same way I look at this old 85, you know. They don't have the same admiration. And a lot of times, like the riders that I've seen that had the expensive ADV bikes, they're not exactly people who are into adventure. They're more into like telling people that they're into an adventure. They're usually like kind of techie people, and oftentimes they're the same people that had sport bikes at one point but got older. Look at this guy, come on. It's a woman. I hate it when like people don't stop at stop signs on a motorcycle, because I don't know if you're gonna stop. It just feels like you're gonna run the side. I think that's the problem with the ADV segment. And in a way, I don't want an ADV bike, even though I think they're really fantastic bikes. But first, I think the ADV segment is so saturated with posers. I think there's more posers in the ADV segment than there are in the sport bike segment. I think the sport bike guys get a little bit of a unfair comparison because they're usually younger and they have a lot more energy, but the ADV guys, they're so judgmental. They're so unwilling to have new ideas, and they all look just as ridiculous. I mean, the GS guys are the most ridiculous looking ones because it's as if they go through a Touratech catalog and they buy every single thing from it, and they take a bike that's like $20,000 and they buy all the gear to match the bike, and then they have a bike that's like $30,000 with all the gear added up, and they get that stupid outfit that I hate, that Touratech checkered pattern uber goober outfit. It's just so ridiculous that they think that's a good look. You know, I'm still wearing the same gear that I bought when I first started riding. It's all falling apart, but to me it's kind of like this bike. I will ride it, I will use this gear until it completely disintegrates.
We're there.